Good morning, scholars. It is Thursday, March 25th, 2021, and it is National Medal of Honor Day, which means people in the military that did amazing things and were kind of like heroes um earn this National Medal of Honor. So this is their day to be honored. Our aim today is that students will be able to explain how Norman conquest led to changes in the English government. And so we have a do now, which will take about 5 minutes. We have some notes, guided practice, and independent practice. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so this is actually, you've seen this from a previous lesson on Tuesday, I believe. So I just want to see how you did and see if you want to correct any of your work. So you can go ahead and pause the video and answer these 5 questions in the text box. All right, so the most important secular leader of the Holy Roman Empire was B, the emperor. Secular means not religious. So A, C, and D would not work because those are all religious terms, such as pope, archbishop, and church. So the only other option is emperor. A person who has been excommunicated is A, can no longer be part of his or her church because they get kicked out essentially of the church. Why did pilgrims travel? That would be D, to visit holy places. If you're not sure, look at pilgrims and then think of the word pilgrimage, and that would give you a hint for that question. The successor of Otto the Great was crowned as emperor after Otto, so B, because remember, a successor is someone that comes after the previous person. A land grant from an emperor to a bishop is known as a fief. This is an actually review word. We saw this in a couple lessons ago. So if you got a couple wrong, go ahead and fix them. You can pause the video and fix them, or we can move on. So we have 3 vocab words today. We have Normans, and the Normans that we're going to talk about today were Vikings who left Norway and they settled in northern France, which in turn is why the one city or the one region in France is called Normandy. Battle of Normandy in World War II, or I'm sorry, not battle, invasion of Normandy in World War II. If you've already had your ELA Day B, Ronald Reagan, the speech you read, Ronald Reagan was specifically talking about the invasion of Normandy. So that's where that name comes from. Anglo-Saxon is the group of Germanic people that were from tribes that settled and ruled in today's England and Wales. You will often hear this term even today. And a baron is a noble ranking for an aristocrat. Remember, an aristocrat is high society, wealthy, and the baron is higher than a lord or a knight. So go ahead and pause and get those down. This is just a map of the Anglo-Saxons and how they settled. So you can see the Angles and the Saxons were here in Germany. And then during the early 400s, they migrated over here to what we would know as the United Kingdom. And so we have the English Angles here and the English Saxons here. If you remember from Monty Python clips, he said, "I'm King Arthur, King of the Britons." That would be this region or these regions here. But this is how they migrated. I love this slide. These are words that we use today that came from Norman French. So these are words that have to do with government that we use today that came from this time period, law, the arts, and then some formal words, and then informal words that we have that originated from this time period, which is pretty cool. So we have some guided practice, obviously, but we have some map practice. You guys know I love map practice. So you're only going to answer 1 and 2. You don't need to do number 3 because you can't really label anything. And you don't have a student journal. So go ahead and pause, analyze the map, and answer questions 1 and 2. Now be careful because number 1 does have 2 parts to the question. So there's 2 questions for number 1. So make sure you're answering both of them. All right, so for number 1, which armies fought at York and which armies fought at Hastings? So if you find York here, it says for number 1, the Norwegian king's armies invade England. And then you can also see here for this line that Harold's, right here, Harold's army also goes there. And then for number 2, why might Harold's army have been exhausted by the time they reached Hastings? You can see here they were started here, they went to York, and then they came back. So they just fought, and they had just fought, and then they had to travel a very, very long distance. Go ahead and pause and get that if you need to. All right, so we are going to start our reading. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. On Christmas Day in 1066, William, Duke of Normandy, was about to be crowned King of England at Westminster Abbey near London. But William and his Norman knights were nervous. They had just seized power and were afraid of an uprising. When the English crowds began to cheer, the Normans misunderstood and panicked. They attacked the people and set fire to nearby houses. Inside the great coronation church, the ceremony continued. As the crown was placed on William's head, the firelight from the burning houses flickered over the church walls. It was a fitting coronation for a warlord who had gained power by sword and flame. William was descended from Viking raiders called Northmen or Normans who settled in northern France. This area of France came to be called Normandy after the Normans. The dukes of Normandy became great feudal lords. They grew rich, collecting taxes from traders who crossed their lands. In time, they wanted new lands to rule. For some time, the Normans had been interested in the wealth of nearby England. Duke William of Normandy was related to the Anglo-Saxon king, Edward the Confessor, but Edward was a weak ruler. The real power in England was held by a noble family called the Godwins. Harold Godwin, Earl of Wessex, expected to inherit the throne. So we have 3 questions. Why would the Normans set houses on fire? Who were the Normans, and why did the Normans want to invade England? So you can go ahead and pause the video and answer those 3 questions. We'll come back and go over the answers. All right, so why would the Normans set houses on fire when they heard the English people cheering? They were worried about an uprising. And you can see that that's right here in the first paragraph. Who were the Normans? They were descendants of the Vikings who settled in northern France, and you can see that here in this first sentence. And then why did the Normans want to invade England? Let me move my face. They wanted the country's land and wealth. So go ahead and pause the video and fix that if you need to. All right, so for your independent practice, you are going to read about William the Conqueror, and you have these 2 questions here. Number 5 is an opinion question. Do you think that luck played a large role in William's victory? So you're going to read William the Conqueror and then analyze that and give me your opinion. Then you're going to read about Norman England and the Anglo-Saxons. And you have a cause and effect question as well. So what caused the English language to change? And then you are good to go. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the Magna Carta and basically how it is the basis for any democratic or actually not even well, our government, but most not dictatorship governments. So go ahead and finish your independent practice and have a wonderful day.